So in this lecture, we will see the different properties of acids and salt affected soils and the amendments which can do to improve that kind of soils. So mainly we will use lime and gypsum. Such chemicals we will use for amending the soils which are affected with acids and salts. So we'll see each of them. Before that, we will move on to salinity. What do you mean by salinity? Salinity, when there is an excess amount of salt in the soil, such condition is known as salinity or salinization. It occurs mainly due to these following reasons. Maybe due to the parent rock from which the soil was formed. It may contain some amount of salts and that causes the soil to have a natural salt content. Seawater intrusion is another thing. Irrigation waters containing salts, and the other reason is salty groundwater rise. So all these are the reasons for increased salinity in soil. Now the soil that contain a harmful amount of salt are known as salty or saline soil. So mainly it occurs due to many reasons. Here there are two pictures which shows the reasons by which salt content occurs in the soil. So this is the first figure. It is showing the salinization caused by salty irrigation water. So when we irrigate the soil with the salty water, the water will penetrate into the root zone and that plant roots will absorb all the water, but the salts remain on the surface and all the other water gets evaporated. Other water on the surface gets evaporated and the salt will remain as a white layer of dry salt. White layer above the soil. So this causes soil salinity. And the second figure shows the salinization caused by groundwater table rise. Again, if the groundwater comes up to the surface of the roots or surface of the soil or up to the root zone, it will carry the salts with it. And when these water gets evaporated or transpired, the salts will remain over the surface of the soil. So this can also cause salinization of soil. And if the soil is very much salty, then it can be recognized by a white layer of dry salt on the soil surface. So mainly the soil salinity can be classified into three types. Soil can be classified into three types according to their salinity. So this classification is based on three parameters. One is EZ. EZ is the electrical conductivity. So which is a which is an indirect representation of salinity. So when EZ is higher, it means salinity is higher. And ESP is the exchangeable sodium percentage, which indicates the exchangeable sodium in the soil. And pH is the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration, which represents acidity or alkalinity of the soil. So according to these three parameters, the soil is classified into three: saline, sodic and sodic. When EZ is greater than or equal to 4, exchangeable sodium percentage is less than 15 and pH less than 8.5, it is known as saline soil. When the EZ is greater than or equal to 4 and ESP is also greater than or equal to 15 and pH is also greater than or equal to 8.5, then it is known as saline sodic. And when EZ is less than 4 and ESP is greater than or equal to 15 and pH is greater than 8.5, then that kind of soils are known as sodic soils. Mainly this soil salinity is tested by extracting the solution from the saturated soil. So first we will saturate a soil and we will extract the solution from the soil by the application of some pressure, and we will test the salinity in that saturation extract. So that is the method by which we will measure the salinity. The saturation extract contains less than 3 gram of salt per liter, then the soil is said to be non-saline. The saturation extract contains more than 12 gram per liter of salinity, then it is known as highly saline soil. So again, we will classify the salinity. According to salinity of the soil is classified into four types: non-saline, slightly saline, medium saline and highly saline. Mainly the EZ, this is in millimoles per centimeter is expressed, I mean EC is expressed in millimoles per second centimeter or gram per liter or again decisiemens per meter. So any units we can use. So in the second table it is given in millimoles per centimeter or gram per liter. So both the classification is given here. So according to the intensity of salinity, the soil can be classified into four: non-saline, slightly saline, medium saline and high saline. And regarding the crops, most of the crops do not grow well in salts. Okay, soil causes a reduction in the rate and amount of water that the plant's roots can take up from the soil, and it all some kind of soils are also toxic for the plants. So here you can see due to salt, the plant in this figure, due to the high salt content, some plants cannot grow. It will have a standard growth, and it will not grow properly. So that is the case. Here you can see a table which shows the tolerance of salt by different crops. There are three kinds of crops. One is highly tolerant crop, moderately tolerant, and sensitive crop. The sensitive group of crops can tolerate only a limit of 2.5 gram per liter of salinity, and moderately tolerant crops can tolerate up to 5 gram per liter, and highly tolerant can tolerate up to 10 gram per liter of salt content. Now we will see how to reclaim this salt affected soils. So salt is affected in the soil. Now how can we amend or reclaim that kind of soil? There are mainly three methods. Mainly three conditions are there. For saline soils with efflorescence of salt at the surface, we can see the salt over the surface. In that cases, we can do two things. One is scrapping of the surface soil. We can scrap the surface salt content, and the second thing we can do is we can leach. Leaching is the removal of salt by flushing of water through the soil. So when water is flushed over the surface, this water will dissolve all the salt content of the soil over the surface, and this water will be infiltrated into the soil. So it will bring the salt also along with the water. So that is the process of leaching. And the second condition is soils with high concentration of soluble salts in greater depth with deep water table. So a greater depth there are soluble salts are available. In that case we can use two things, two methods. One is leaching, and the second one is surface or subsurface drainage system we can provide. So these are the two ways by which we can reclaim that kind of soil. And the third condition is soils with high concentration of soluble salts in greater depth with high water table. So in that condition we can use two methods. One is pumping, and the second thing is subsurface drainage. So these are the reclamation methods that can be used. Out of this, leaching is a very common method. So we will see what is leaching and subsurface drainage. So after leaching we have to provide a subsurface drainage system. So this is a method of leaching, or this is a procedure of leaching. How to, mainly the improvement of saline soil is done by means of leaching. So we'll see what is leaching. Actually, more water is applied to the field than required by the crop. We'll apply more water, and the additional water gets infiltrated into the soil, and these water percolates through the root zone, and during percolation what will happen, this water will take up all the salt content over the surface, and it takes these along the deeper soil layers, and then the water washes the salts out of the root zone. So this is the thing happening, and after that additional water required for leaching must be removed from the root zone by means of a subsurface drainage system. So this is the procedure for removing the salt content of the soil. We can implement leaching plus subsurface drainage system. And now we have to find how much amount of water to be given for leaching. So this is the method. This slide shows the method by which we can find the amount of water to be given in excess for leaching purpose. So there are two main terms related to that. One is leaching fraction. It is a fraction of irrigation water needed for the removal of excess salt from the soil. The leaching fraction is expressed by two main formulas. One is EZ/IW by EZ/DW. EZ/IW means electrical conductivity of irrigation water, and EZ/DW means electrical conductivity of drainage water. And the leaching fraction is, again, it can be expressed by another equation, dDW by dIW. dDW is the depth of drainage water, and dIW is the depth of irrigation water. So by using this equation we can we can calculate the leaching fraction. Now the second term related to this is leaching requirement. It is the total amount of water required to bring the soil salinity from an initially high value down to an acceptable value in accordance with the salt tolerance of the crop to be grown. So this is the total amount of water. Earlier it was a fraction of irrigation water. So leaching requirement is equal to leaching fraction, which we have calculated earlier, into the total amount of irrigation water applied. So these are the two terms which are related to leaching. Now we will move on to the next main problem of soil, sodicity or alkalinity. We can say synonymously alkalinity. So, salty soil usually contains several types of salt. Sodium is one among them. So, when the sodium content of the soil is higher, then we can say that the soil is sodic. So, sodic soils are those which have an exchangeable sodium percentage of more than 15. There are much amount of soil which can exchange the soil uh, greater than an amount of 15. So, that kind of soils are known as sodic soil. When the concentration of sodium salts is high relative to other types of salt, the soil is said to be sodic. Now it is characterized by low infiltration rate, poorly aerated and difficult to cultivate. It will also provide a standard growth for plants and adversely affect the plant's growth. So here this table shows the hazard caused by sodicity and the amount of exchangeable sodium percentage which causes the hazard. So this table shows that when it is less than 50, it is hazard is none to slight. There may be no hazard or slight hazards are there. When it is 15 to 30, it is light to moderate hazards will be there. When it is 30 to 50, it is moderate to high hazard, and 50 to 70, high to very high hazard, and greater than 70, it is extremely high. So plants cannot grow when it is greater than 50. When the ESP, exchangeable sodium percentage, is greater than 50, plants cannot grow. And moving on to the remarks, the adverse effect of ESP on the growth and yield of crop in various classes occurs according to the relative crop tolerance to excess sodicity. Yes, it depends on the crop, type of crop to be grown. And when it is greater than 15, the growth and yield of sensitive crops are affected. Extremely tolerant crops grow even at 70 to 80 ESP. Yes, 70 to 80 ESP, even if it is 70 to 80, some crops which are extremely tolerant to sodicity can grow. That is a condition. Now, how to reclaim these kinds of soil? How to amend this kind of soil? How to remove this sodicity? So, there are two stages for that. One is we can use chemicals. Chemicals like gypsum, which are rich in calcium and mixed with the soil, the calcium replaces the sodium. So, that is the case one. And in the case two or step two, we can replace the sodium we have already replaced the sodium. The replaced sodium have to be leached from the root zone by irrigation water. So these are the two stages by which we can reclaim the sodic soils. Now the chemical amendments that can be used. So in the first stage we have to use some chemicals. So one is gypsum. So other than that, some chemicals we can use. They are soluble calcium salts, which is gypsum or calcium chloride, acids or acid forming substances, sulfur, pyrite, sulfate, etc. And the third one is calcium salts of low solubility, which is ground limestone. So all these things you can use as a chemical amendment. So mainly used chemical amendment is gypsum. So the reclamation of alkali soils requires gypsum treatment for replacement of sodium ions from the exchange complex, and gypsum is chemically calcium sulfate 2H2O, hydrated calcium sulfate. And it must be ground before it is applied to the soil. It must be ground into small pieces or fine powder. And after applying gypsum, we have to leach it. So this is the case. The gypsum requirement, how much amount of gypsum is required for removing the sodicity of the soil, is calculated based on the titration with EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. So we will titrate this amount of soil and the gypsum with EDTA for finding the amount of gypsum to replace the sodium in the soil. So that is the principle of finding the gypsum requirement. So we will see how to calculate the gypsum requirement. First we will take 5 gram of soil in a 250 ml conical flask. After that we will add 100 ml of saturated calcium sulfate, that is gypsum, hydrated calcium sulfate, and shaken for 5 minutes. We will shake it for 5 minutes. And after that we will filter this through Wattmann number 1 filter paper. It is the specification of the filter paper, Wattmann number 1. And we will filter it. And while filtering, some water will be filtered and some things will remain above the surface of the filter. Whatever thing which is filtered, that is the water, We will allow the water for rejecting for a few minutes, and after that we will collect 5 ml of the extract from that, and it is pipetted into a 100 ml flask or porcelain dish. We will take 5 ml of the filtrate into a 100 ml flask or porcelain dish. After that we will dilute it to 25 ml. Initially it was 5 ml. We will dilute it with distilled water to 25 ml, and then 1 liter of ammonium chloride, ammonium hydroxide buffer. It is a buffer solution, ammonium chloride, ammonium hydroxide buffer, and 3 to 4 drops of erichrome black tea indicator. It is an indicator, a coloring indicator. So these two are added to this 25 ml of diluted solution. Now this solution is titrated with EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, until the color changes from wine red to blue. So when this indicator, erichrome black tea indicator, is added, its color will be wine red. Okay, so when we are titrating this with EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, this wine red color changes to blue. So that thing is measured. So this is the end of titration. And again, this same procedure is repeated for calcium sulfate, saturated calcium sulfate. This gypsum. Gypsum only is taken, not the sample. Gypsum again, gypsum is taken. 5 ml of saturated calcium sulfate is titrated separately to determine calcium concentration. We will separately determine the calcium concentration. So all these things are done. So this is how we can calculate the gypsum requirement. After doing all these things, we have to do these calculations. So calcium, amount of calcium is calculated by this equation. Normality of EDTA into milliliter of EDTA used for titration into 1000 divided by milliliter of saturated calcium sulfate solution taken. So that we will do. Second thing is calcium plus magnesium can be found out by normality of EDTA into milliliter of EDTA titrated into 1000 divided by milliliter of soil extract taken. So these are the two equations. Now we can calculate the gypsum requirement in milliequivalents per liter in 100 gram of soil by using this equation. Is equal to calcium concentration of gypsum minus calcium plus magnesium concentration of filtrate into 2. So this is equation. And finally, it can be found out in metric tons per hectare by using this equation, 1.72 into gypsum requirement in milliequivalents per liter. So this is a calculation we will do, and finally we will get the amount of gypsum to be given to the particular kind of soil. Now we'll move on to another important factor which causes bad effects in soil, that is acidity. The soil with low pH containing relatively high amount of exchangeable hydrogen and aluminum ions considered as acidic soil. So here in this table it is given the acidity level. When the pH is 3.3, it is said to be extra acidic or ultra acidic, and when it is 3.5 to 4.5, it is extremely acidic. When it is 4.5 to 5, it is very strong acidic. When it is 5.1 to 5.5, it is strongly acidic. Up to 6 it is moderately acidic, and greater than 6 it is slightly acidic. It will start to become alkaline. So these is the level of acidity and pH level. Now these are the sources of acidity, sources by which the soil becomes acidic. One is rainfall. Excess rainfall causes the formation of some types of acids. So this is one thing. And parent material, when the parent material contains some acidic materials, for example granite, gneiss, quartz, silica, etc., may causes acidity to soil. Fertilizer use, some type of fertilizers, ammoniacal fertilizers, leads to the formation of acid soils. Plant root activity, some plants roots produces organic acids, fluvic acid it will cause, so which causes acid soil. And deposition of organic matter, so all these can cause acidity to the soil. And again, climate is another factor. Humid region develops acid soil because evaporation is less. And vegetation cover, some types of vegetation can again produce fulvic acid. Topography, slope places can produce more acidic condition in soil. Human interference, the discharges from industries and all. So all these are the reasons by which soil becomes acidic. Now we will see how to reclaim these acid soils. So a higher degree of soil acidity mostly exert an adverse effect on crop growth, and hence such acid soils need lime application. So we will use lime for reclaiming the acid soil. For improving the acid soil, we will use lime. The procedure for calculating the amount of lime, that is how much amount of lime is required to remove the acidity of a soil, that is known as lime requirement. So the procedure for that is introduced by Shoemaker et al. In 1961, and it is found out by means of a glass electrode pH meter. Okay, the instrument used is glass electrode pH meter. We will see the procedure for that. So this is the procedure for calculating the lime requirement of the soil. You have to first take 5 gram of air dry soil taken in a dry 50 ml beaker. After that, 5 milliliter distilled water and 10 milliliter of extractant buffer are added. This is a kind of buffer. We will see it in practicals. So we will add these to this air dry soil, and we will stir it continuously for 10 minutes and intermittently for 20 minutes. After that, so a solution will be formed here. So this solution, the pH of this solution is measured by using that pH meter, which we have earlier discussed. And the requirement of lime can be read from a table. So this pH value, corresponding to this pH value, lime requirement will be there. So there is a table which is already non-table is there. From that table we can calculate the lime requirement. So we will see in detail in practicals. So this is about the type of reclamation methods for acidic and alkaline and sodic soils. So lime and gypsum requirement we have discussed. So this is all about today's lecture. Thank you.